Through the years, there have been plenty of great diecasts made for fans to collect. But for every great collectible out there, there's also another that hasn't been made yet. And yes, you can get any of these custom made, but it'll probably cost you more than it would just to buy it straight up. So, here we are with 10 NASCAR diecasts that should be made. Starting off, we'll look at the only sponsorless car on this list. No, this wasn't a backmarker either, but in fact was a top-tier driver, the mayor himself, Jeff Burton. Back in 2007, AT&T purchased longtime RCR sponsor Singular Wireless. Due to NASCAR claiming that it had breached their deal with Sprint to have the AT&T logo on a car during the race, they were forced to keep Singular's logo on the car. After months of legal battles, the United States Court of Appeals issued in favor of NASCAR. So, for the next month, a deal had to be worked out, and it led to the number 31 being sponsorless. While most involved want to forget about this ordeal, it would be great to see this odd time capsule of a diecast. Keeping it in the Bristol vein, let's go back to 1995. Dale Earnhardt is chasing down the Iceman, Terry Labonte, in the final laps. Coming out of the final corner, the Intimidator rammed into the back of the elder Labonte's Chevy. Labonte spun across the line, hit the wall, and won the race, totaling his 5 car. The race-win diecast of this car would be one that would be craved by collectors everywhere. Let's stick with Hendrick drivers for a bit here. In 2008 at Bristol, Jimmie Johnson did something he had never done before and has since never done again. He made a start in the Truck Series. That's right. 7-time NASCAR Cup champion Jimmie Johnson has only one Truck Series start to his name. Driving the number 81 Randy Moss-owned machine, Jimmie Johnson rolled off the grid 9th before crashing out halfway through the race, finishing 34th of the 36 truck field. This diecast would definitely be a hot one to buy and would be well worth the money. Sticking with 7-time champs, let's look at Richard Petty. Petty is known as the King. He was and still is the winningest driver in NASCAR history. So, when his career came to a close in 1992, it was one of the biggest stories in the sport's history. Petty crashed during the race, only to return to the track with about half of his race car left. It would be a great tribute to the King if this diecast could be recreated as a raced-as version. One of Petty's old rivals in David Pearson also deserves a tribute in the form of a diecast. This, though, being a raced-1 version of the 1976 Daytona 500 car he drove. As he and Petty raced for 500 glory, they came out of turn 4 and made contact, both crashing and spinning into the infield. Pearson managed to limp his car across the line to win his first and only career Daytona 500 victory. I couldn't think of a better diecast to pay tribute to the Silver Fox with than this one. Going from one of the greatest 500 finishes ever to arguably the greatest finish ever, the 2003 Carolina Dodge Dealers 400. We all know the story. Craven and Busch beating and banging to the line. Craven winning by 2 1,000ths of a second. But amazingly, diecasts of this car are hard to find and are almost exclusively custom made. This would be a great diecast to issue out at Darlington for the Southern 500 as a throwback. The raced win diecast of Ricky Craven in 2003. Speaking of throwbacks, let's go back again to the 1992 Hooters 500. Yes, Richard Petty made his final start there that day, but it was also during the finale of NASCAR's greatest title fight ever. This ended up being won by the underdog Alan Kulwicki. Kulwicki owned and drove the number 7 Hooters Thunderbird, but due to being the constant underdog, the team would routinely scratch out the T and H of Thunderbird, making Kulwicki's car the Underbird. It'd be great for older fans to have the opportunity to have an Underbird diecast. Along with Petty and Kulwicki, Jeff Gordon was also in this race, making his first start. And as I looked through Gordon's career, there was one race where the 24 was more unique than ever before. And I don't mean the car. I mean the actual 24 on the car. In 2005 at California, the week after Gordon won his final Daytona 500 victory, Gordon's car caught many people's attention, but they couldn't put their finger on why. It was because the 24 itself was slanted inversely to the way it had been his entire career. Due to an error at the HMS shop, the 24 was slanted forward for the first and only time in Gordon's 24-year career with the number. So why not immortalize this gaffe in a diecast? Going from one fan favorite in Gordon, we shift to another fan favorite in Mark Martin. Mark Martin had a great career, and it usually was quiet and under the radar like Martin himself. That extended even to his retirement. Martin subbed in for an injured Tony Stewart in 2013, so at Homestead, Martin ran the 14 car as his final race ever in the Cup Series, to minimal fanfare. It would be great to have a diecast for this final start, to commemorate one of the greatest drivers ever, and arguably the greatest driver ever to never win a Cup championship. And now going from one of the popular guys to the most popular driver in Dale Earnhardt Jr. In 2006, there was a spring race in Martinsville like every other year in Cup history. The race is really remembered for only two reasons, though. The first being NBC Dateline starting controversy, and the second being Dale Jr. driving an absolutely demolished number 8 Chevrolet to a top 5 finish. Jr. was wrecked a few times during the race and was missing the right front of his car, but he rallied his Budweiser Chevy all the way up to a 4th place finish despite the damage and crashes. A raced version diecast of this car would be a no-brainer purchase for a diehard Junior Nation member like myself. But what do you think? Are those 10 diecasts that you would want to buy? What are other cars that should be diecast that I didn't have on this list? Let me know your answers down below in the comments, and until next time, have a good one.